Hi, I'm Chris. We're going through this year's PSAT Math, Section 4, Question 33. It says the sum of 6 numbers is 135, and it says the average of 7 numbers is going to be greater than 23 and less than 23.5. So they want to know, what is that 7th number? We'll call that x for the time being. We'll put that down here. That's what we're being asked for. What is x? So x is going to be this 7th number that when we add it on to this other list of 6 and take the average of the whole thing, it's somewhere in between these values of 23 and 23.5. Okay, so first we have to know the equation for average. And what is that equation? So hopefully you're saying to yourself something like, oh, for average you add them all up, or you divide by however many. And a good math way of phrasing that is the average is the sum of terms over the number of terms. Sum of terms over number of terms. So for this question, since we know the average has to be in between 23 and 23.5, those will be the ends of our range for the value of the average. So I'm going to just write that part like this. So our average will be somewhere in here, somewhere in between 23 and 23.5. And to solve, to find out what this possible value of x, that 7th term, could be, we need to figure out what kind of equation to put in here. So when you're averaging 7 things, how do we go about doing that calculation? So hopefully you're looking at this formula for average and you're saying, okay, well, I want to add up all 7 terms. And then I want to divide by the number of terms, which is 7 in this case. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So the sum of all of the terms, we don't know what each of the first 6 terms is, but we do know that the sum of all of them comes out to 135. So for finding the average of the 7 terms, it's the sum of those first 6 terms plus our value for x, which we don't know. And we're going to divide that by 7. Now, one thing that a lot of students run into trouble on this particular problem is a lot of students do 135 plus x divided by 2 because they only see 2 values in the numerator here. But what's really important to appreciate is that 135 represents the sum of 6 terms. So it's really like we have the total of 6 terms there plus another one, which makes 7, and that's why we're dividing by 7. Now, to solve this inequality, we can multiply 7 times 23 and 7 times 23.5. So 7 times 23 is going to give us 161, which will be less than 135 plus x. And then 7 times 23.5 will be 164.5, I believe. I'm doing a little mental math here, so you guys should double check that with your calculators, but it's, I think 7 times 23.5 comes out to 164.5. And then from there, if we subtract 135 from either side, over here we'll get 26 is less than x, which is less than, if we subtract 135 from that value, we'll get 29.5. And the correct answer that you grid in could be any value that's in between 26 and 29.5 for this question. So you don't have to grid in the range of numbers. You only have to pick one of them. You could grid in 27, you could grid in 28, you could grid in 29, you could grid in 26.1 if you want, but you cannot grid in 26 because it does say greater than, not greater than or equal to, and you can't grid in 29.5 because it does say less than for that. But anything in between will work for this question. For more, please feel free to watch our other videos, and thanks for watching.